Welcome, beautiful listeners, to Alt Majority. I'm Shay.
And I'm Shannon. Welcome. We're so happy to have you with us today. We have a really good show today. A couple days ago, I had a really good download on how to trust your intuition, and we're going to talk about that today. And that's an example of the type of shows we have here at Alt Majority. I'm Shay's mom, and I'm really excited and happy to have this show with her where we talk about law of attraction, we talk about spirituality, we talk about things like intuition. So part of what we are doing this for is to literally talk to our family and friends. So, hey fam, love you guys. And really just talk to them about all of these words that we keep just spewing out to each other, because maybe everybody doesn't understand what everybody's talking about when we're talking about frequencies and, intuition and all of that. So we really just wanted to go a little bit deeply into what is intuition and how can you actually learn how to trust what you're getting is actually intuition versus just your thoughts.
Right. And before we even get into it, I would love for you to explain to the listeners what you mean by you got a download about this. So what do you do to get downloads from the universe, and what even is a download?
Okay, that's a great question. So I think it's just another way to say I had an insight. I had a moment of inspiration. It's the thing that you get when you just out of nowhere, you just have this thought hit your head. And when you say it like a download, it's more like when you get a whole entire concept that arrives at once. And I think I probably have that moment where you get the random thought, but suddenly you just know a thing and you're like, oh, wait. And there's sort of layers to it and you got to sort of sort through it. So when you're open to the universe and you're asking the universe to let you know at all times what you need to know, that's a state I really try to sit in where I'm just always open. And a lot of times these things happen when you're just really not really thinking about too much and you don't have anything that's going on in your mind. And I was just actually eating breakfast and there really wasn't anything else kind of distracting my mind. And suddenly I just had a whole download of what I knew I wanted to happen this episode concerning intuition. I just grabbed my notebook and just jotted it down. And that's really what I mean by like a download.
Yes, I love that so much. I just want to add that for myself, downloads feel like a conversation between the universe and I, like exactly what you were saying. It's an idea being planted in my mind that then I need to expand upon and think about. And it is in those moments of, pure nothingness when you have nothing else going on that those moments arise. So yay, I'm so excited to get into this and to hear about this amazing download that you have received.
Okay,
about
so
intuition.
I first want to define what is intuition. And part of what the content I'm using is I was watching this Greg Braden video and he was talking about this. And if you're familiar with him, he's, basically a scientist who has, he really points to a lot of scientific research to talk about how, everything is energy and the quantum field is real, etc. And I had been watching some stuff earlier in the day about that. And I thought his definition of intuition was so beautiful. I actually went back to his video, and actually we'll put a link to his video in the show notes. And this is what he says about what is intuition. He says it's a direct knowing of when something is true for us and when it's not true. I just thought that was such a good way to say it. And he really just talks about how it's a knowing that comes from your heart and how it's different from what comes with your head. And that's kind of where the download, I was sort of thinking about that concept that morning. And it just sort of like this whole thought about how can we take the things that we experience in our reality, which is our mind, our feelings, we have, whatever's around us. How can we take all that information and know what is an intuitive hit? and what
Right.
is, especially if we're feeling a lot. We're in this human experience,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So it kind of goes like this. So how to trust your intuition. First of all, we have to know what it is. Like I said, it's a knowing. It's a knowing. And that's really different. And it's how actually your heart really knows something. It doesn't go through a process of judging it,
Right.
which is different from your brain, which when you think about things, thoughts enter. And what are you doing when you're using thoughts? Your fears come in, various doubts come in, past experiences in your life, kind of sort through. If you're thinking about, do I want to do something? Do I even like something? You sort through your mind about it,
Right. It's
right?
like the programming that's been downloaded into your brain from society, your parents, your friends, your siblings. That's your mind. It's like what has been programmed on earth.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you kind of like all of that comes up into your mind when you're thinking, let's say you're trying to make a decision about something and you're trying to decide, okay, like intuition, I should go to my intuition on this. Um, your intuition is more of that direct knowing. Okay. So what we know about the heart is that it actually holds memory, and actually your heart has neurons in it, just like your brain does, much like your gut does.
Mhm.
Shay and I, a couple years ago, one of the things that actually started us on this spiritual awakening journey was watching this documentary called The Gut, The Second Brain, which actually just blew our minds and changed everything about what we thought about and just started a chain of events, right, Shay? Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, the gut brain, right?
I'm eternally grateful to that documentary. And just one thing that sticks out is that your gut has more neurons in it than a dog's brain. And that
Right.
to me was just, I remember having to stop the video and be like,
Right. And so like that Greg Braden video, if you watch it, he talks all about the heart brain coherence. And I'll talk about one of the things he brings up at the end during this video. He talks about doing that. But really, this thought about intuition, lying in your heart and being able to go into your heart is really where it's at. So you just know that your heart holds separate memories. Your heart holds a frequency of its own. Okay, that extends out from your body, okay, 5 to 6 feet, wherever you go. Your body, your heart actually has an electrical charge. We know that. I
yeah,
mean, think about when, people have heart attacks, they use an electrical charge to start it again. So we have that going. And so because we have a natural kind of, frequency extending from our bodies, this is where we know if we vibe with people.
mm,
This is how we can know if we vibe with people almost right away. It only takes a few seconds to actually figure out, do we like somebody? What do we feel? What does their energy feel like, right? You know what I'm
well,
talking about?
yeah, I was just about to explain a give an explanation of this. Is when I met my partner Peyton, right? My head told me he didn't really fit the categories of like what I was looking for based on what I'm not really sure, based on society and based on my friends at the time. But my heart knew it. I mean, my heart immediately knew that he was somebody that was supposed to be in my life for a very long time. And so that's just one explanation of like how my intuition really stepped in, and it was my heart. I felt that like so fully.
Exactly. It's such a great example. You know what your heart feels. Your heart has an instant reaction. Do I like this vibe? Do I like this energy? Is this person safe? Am I going to like this person? Am I going to get along with this person? We know these things almost instantly.
Hmm.
Our mind will often tell us otherwise and will try to talk us out of things. I think maybe a few episodes ago, I talked about that book, The Gift of Fear by Gavin Becker, I think his name is. And he talks about how fear is an actual response our body's having because there's some type of stimulus our body has detected and it's telling us we're in physical danger. Okay, that's what physical fear feels like. And that's very different than all of the fears that we've been programmed to have. Are people going to like us? Are people going to laugh at us? Are people going to criticize us? All of those fears have been programmed in. So that's a mind thing that we have going on. Our heart would never, express that way. Our heart has a fear because it's been through a trauma. And so the trauma sits right here, and the trauma will actually signal the brain, and the brain will start like shooting out these chemicals of adrenaline and, the fear, the fight or flight kind of freeze those chemicals. But that's not really your heart actually, has the ability, first of all, to heal. We know that, but your heart can tune in to what is real and true. It can. It actually can, where it's like, if you have a moment where you're having a trigger, your heart can remind you that you're safe. Your heart can remind you that you're a being of light, that you're a divine being, that actually everything is okay. Everything's always working out for you. Your divine light basically sits here in your heart and your solar plexus. So
I mean, your parasympathetic nervous system, right, which is like your rest and digest, is literally triggered when you put your hand on your own heart.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. That is one simple way to literally get yourself back into the rest and digest and to leave that fight or flight experience is to put your hand on your heart. And so, I mean, that's just telling in itself, isn't it?
Exactly. And actually, that's a beautiful segue to point 4, which is go into your heart. Go into your heart. And this is how you actually get to know whether or not what you're feeling is intuition or not. And it's what I said about the brain will chat you up about the decision. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you just say to yourself, I think I want something, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure, is this right for me, universe? Is this the way I should go or not? So I'm going to go deep into my heart and I'm going to try to figure out, how do I actually feel about it? What's my instant reaction? Which also very often your first reaction is the right reaction.
Yeah.
And again, we'll talk ourselves out of that. We'll tell ourselves how we can't have that. We can't do that. I'm not good enough for that. That's not going to work out.
Or I have to do that because of these other mind things.
Yes. Right. I mean, again, we have to pay attention to our self-talk and our programming during all of this. So, I just, looking kind of down at my notes, what I say, rarely will the heart justify its decision. How about that one? Yeah. Rarely will the heart justify it. If you think about, what you feel, that's very different than, why do I like something / someone versus how do I feel? Your heart doesn't need to actually come up with a reason. Right. It just is. It's a frequency that it's trying to express. So this is why it's so important to be able to hear and listen to what your actual heart is saying and how to hear that and how to tune into it. And there's like a conversation that's going on between your heart and your brain, your gut, and your, the rest of your body, pretty much at all times.
I mean, absolutely. We have this energy channel that, resides in the middle part of our body that's connecting all of these beautiful centers of energy.
Right. So part of paying attention and tuning in basically your container, your vessel, and this is why you want to take care of your human vessel, your body, is to be more sensitive to the energies. So the more sensitive you are to be able to pick up and listen and tune into your heart, like the healthier your body is, the easier it is for you to do this, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Absolutely. And that's why some people can't get past the mind stuff, right? Is because they haven't given themselves the opportunity to tune into these other centers in their body.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So when there is an open conversation and you are open and used to tuning in and listening to your heart, this is where it's a lot easier to get to where your intuition is versus what is your mind telling you to do. The other part of it is pay attention. Is this something your ego wants
Right.
that you're trying to talk yourself into? That's where your heart knows. Okay. Your heart knows this. If it's your ego and you're doing this because you want to feel good, you want to soothe a hurt, it's a prideful act you're doing, maybe because you've been embarrassed or humiliated. So you're doing something to save face, for example.
Right.
You have to really, again, be willing to call yourself on the carpet on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And just if you're not sure about something, sort through all of that. Am I doing this for my ego? Am I doing this? Is this a self-protection? Is this decision being made out of fear? Is it being made out of shame? Is it
aligned with my highest good? Is it truly aligned with my highest good?
Yes. Is it aligned with my highest good? And that's, again, something we have to really be honest with ourselves about, because our ego wants things and our brain tells us we can have things that we cannot have.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of chemicals going on up here designed to keep us alive and safe. It doesn't care if you're happy. Your brain does not care if you're happy, or on your purpose even necessarily.
Right.
That's the things that sit in your heart, that sit inside your energy center, inside your gut. But when we get more used to tuning in here, it's easier to not listen to all the chatter and to really sort out what is the programming. And you have to be willing to let go of what your ego wants. And you have to be willing to say, okay, all right, universe says I can't, that's not the right thing for me right now. So I'm going to trust universe. And the more you do that, the universe will reflect back to you in your reality the things that you actually need. And then you get more trusting, and you'll just be like, I'm not sure here. I'm just going to go into my heart. I'm going to feel what's right, what feels good. And sometimes I'll even say it like this: go into your heart and feel both decisions.
Yeah.
Both feel, not thinking. Wipe those out, wipe the thoughts out, go into it and just act as if you have that, or you are there, or you're with that thing or whatever. Feel it.
I have goosebumps as you say that. That's been something that I have done for a couple of years now, is go into my heart and feel those decisions. How does it really feel? Because that is going to be that is your intuition. I mean, that is your intuition talking right there, and that is what you should follow.
Have you had moments where you haven't followed it?
Absolutely. And almost blatantly didn't follow it, because of,
we all have done this.
Yeah, because of fear that something will happen, or because of limiting beliefs I've had, or to people please is a big one that has had me not following my intuition, is like, well, I want the people in my life to be pleased, and so I'm going to go along with this even though it doesn't feel right for me. That's a big one. So yep, definitely have blatantly gone the opposite way of what my intuition has gifted me to know.
Yeah. I mean, our intuition, can it be incorrect? Can it lead us the wrong way?
So far hasn't. And every single time I have gone down the other path, I have to I do some way then have to get myself out of this situation. And so that's like a learning in itself, right? Is you can go down the path, sure, that your intuition is warning you against, except for now you're just going to have more troubles, more problems,
It's like
Um,
you set a little bit of barrier up for yourself, but you can still get back on the path.
you
You
can
still
still
have
get back on the
always
path.
friends. We have to always remember that you can always choose the other. It's never too
Power of
late.
choice. You always have the power of choice.
You can
And
always go back into your heart and be like, okay, well, what now? I really messed that one up, or I should have followed you, universe. I didn't, but
and you
now
know what? Always beautiful lessons come from it. You know, those are the moments where I have to have a hard conversation with somebody, or I have to really pivot my life and explain to those around me why I'm doing well. You don't really owe an explanation to anybody except for yourself. Let me just say that. But also, if you love people and you have people in your life, it is those times where it creates the hard conversations that you have to have, which is just a beautiful lesson on how to really communicate. And this is why also it's important to surround yourself with people who are on the same vibration as you, because they will never blame you for doing what your intuition is telling you to do.
seriously, right. And there's no actual failure in
Never.
this, like, isn't. Recently heard a thing, Dr. Jane Mims, who actually like put her link down too. She says failure is actually, if you take the words FAIL, it just means first attempt in learning. Fail, first
No.
attempt. I was like, that's so beautiful and perfect, because if we think about it like that, and we can take those moments where we didn't follow our intuition and learn from them and be willing to learn from them, and don't be prideful about it, and just don't fight the universe on it. Your ego sometimes fights you on those things when you've done the wrong, you've not the wrong thing necessarily, but sometimes, yes, the wrong thing, or when you've gone down the wrong path and you know it, your heart knows, you 100% know.
Not the
But
wrong path. Let's change that to alternate path. The alternate.
sometimes we double down and we dig in real extra hard when we've picked a different path, and we just literally just dig in hard because we're just going to go with it then. And we just start to block our intuition then at that point when we refuse to go to our heart. And then we'll not go to our heart purposefully, because actually we know.
Yeah.
Go into
And
our
that right
heart.
there is severing this connection between your mind, your heart, your gut, all of that.
Right. And then you just get a buildup of the emotions. You get a buildup of the energy. And that's really where trauma can't move then. That's when trauma sits in a spot. It's because it's a blockage of the energy.
Yeah.
And when we won't feel it and we won't go to the heart, we don't allow, then the intuition is not going to be a problem for us, because we're going to be so confused with our energies that we won't be able to hear. We won't. We'll just go to our brains. And that's the thing we'll just go to. And then we'll just
Right.
making decisions out of our brain, which sometimes you need to. We need that logical brain. We're living on earth. We need all of that. But when it comes to intuition and really understanding the things that the universe has for us, I mean, it's the heart we go to get that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I just want to remind everybody that if right now you're thinking of times that you chose the alternate path away from your intuition, don't dwell on those times. The moment is now, the moment is here, and you have the opportunity to tune into your heart now and to make the more positive decisions in your life right now. You don't have to go back into the past and dwell or feel sorry about not choosing your intuition in those moments. Let's just take this moment now to decide that we will do that in the future, and not even in the future, in this moment right now.
Because now is what we have.
Yeah.
So go forward.
Yeah.
Like I said, your brain goes back to prior memories and prior decisions and prior mistakes. We're calling them mistakes. Again, remember, there's no failure, there's no mistakes. Your brain goes back there and tells you a thing about that, but that's your choice.
That's your choice. And we have the ability to rewrite any story that we've told ourselves. So if you have a story in your head about, this one time I didn't follow my intuition, I did this and it was so awful, yada, yada, go back there maybe. And this is just an option, or you can just don't even think about it, whatever. But one option is go back there and rewrite this. What did you learn from that situation? What are you grateful to know now because of that situation?
Right.
those often, like I was saying earlier, are the times when you kind of have to buck up, and it's teaching you something great, that now I have this skill, right? I had to quit the job that I knew wasn't going to be aligned for me. And now I know that I can go and have a hard conversation with somebody and it will be okay.
It will be okay. It definitely will be okay. Okay, so before we go into the whole part about how to optimize the conversation between your heart, basically, and the rest of it, and the rest of you, let's really summarize what we just went through and just kind of throw those bullets up, and let's just go through and make sure we've hit all those 4 points of how to know what is your intuition, how to figure out what is your intuition. So the first part is, intuition is a direct knowing of when something is true for us or when it's not true. Number 2, your heart holds memory. Just recognize that. Your heart knows.
Yes.
Number 3, your heart has a frequency that extends 5 to 6 feet from your body. Your heart has an instant reaction. And number 4, to know what is intuition, go right into your heart. Anything to add to that, Shay?
I just want to say that your heart holds memory, and not only memories of this current past or of this current lifetime, but of your past lifetimes as well. And so
Right.
sometimes we can have feelings and not really recognize what they are. We can't connect them to a situation that happened in this life, but sometimes it can be from a past life. So just know that's true as well, and that you have the ability to tap into those memories too.
Definitely, you should, if that's something that you're going through and you can't identify, what is this? We've talked about before, is this somebody else's energy? Am I getting this from my partner? Am I getting this from my friends? Is this past life stuff? Yeah, whatever it is. All the memories and blockages that we bring with us sometimes can stop. So what I want to talk about next, and this is actually from Greg Reagan's video too, he talks about this Institute of Heart Math and how they did this study where they basically tried to break down in a non-spiritual way, because sometimes people who are not spiritual, they don't have a religious faith, they don't have a spiritual tradition that they follow. Sometimes some of the content that we're talking about doesn't resonate because, we're talking about, worship the goddess and etc.
Things you can't physically see.
But for some people that doesn't resonate, and which is totally fine. You're on whatever frequency you're on. But this study basically got into how to optimize this, get a brain heart coherence. And actually they had 3 steps and how to go through this process, 3 steps about how to go through and optimize this conversation. Okay, so step 1 is first thing you do to really get into, if you just want to figure out, all right, I want to figure out what to do here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my awareness into my heart. So what do we mean by that? What we mean by that is you close your eyes, and where your thought is, you just move it down into your heart area. Now, how you can stimulate that is just a gentle touch to your heart with either your hands or maybe like a prayer mudra, which Shay can demonstrate. And it is just a way to actually pay attention and expand, because your awareness expands where your attention is. So you have a little touch of your heart. You put your hand on your heart, maybe just fully put that there, whatever it does, whatever works for you that pulls your attention to your heart. You do that. And while you're doing this, you slow your breathing down. And I want you to breathe with your abdomen instead of pulling a breath into your lungs. Breathe deep down into your abdomen and slow that breathing down, where you're taking maybe 5 seconds to inhale, and then just even hold for 5 seconds, and then exhale for 5 seconds out. And just really start to slow your breathing, pay attention to your breathing, And you only need to do this for as long as you start to really feel that calm feeling. And just, you can just listen to what that sounds like, what that feels like in your body. And then this is the really other interesting part they found out. At this point, they actually discovered there are 4 words they want you to actually focus on to be able to generate the frequency that your heart needs to really be able to take in energy and expand and create that coherence. And the 4 words are this: appreciation, gratitude, care, and compassion. And if you can just, while doing that, deep breathing, touching your heart, going into your heart, if you can just consider those 4 words and what it feels like to have those 4 emotions. And if you're not sure even how to do that, think about something, someone you love, something you're appreciative of, something you're so grateful for, something you really, really care about, something you have so much compassion for. You go into that feeling as you're breathing, as your eyes are closed, and feel that. Just feel it and just go deep into it. And what does that do to your vibration after you sit in that state? Shay, tell me how you're feeling after you've been doing this for even just a minute or 2 that I've been talking.
I mean, as soon as I said those words, right, I started here, my hands are on my heart, I was tense. As soon as you said the words, appreciation, compassion, I could feel myself just like butter, just like all the tension slipping away. And like I said, with your hands on your heart, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So that is a part of it too, is that as I'm sitting here, I can feel I have like tension in my head. This is where I hold tension. That starts slipping away, and my shoulders release a little bit more. My arms release any tension that was being held there. Yeah, that
Absolutely.
felt absolutely beautiful. And you can physically feel your awareness move from up here to this center in your heart. It's quite incredible. It almost feels like when you bring your awareness to your heart, you are giving yourself a hug.
It feels like self-love.
It feels
It
like
does. Especially once you get that breath going and you really start to breathe in and breathe out. And it's once you do that, that's when you ask the question. Once you're in that state of calm, that's when you go to your heart and you ask the question and you'll get an instant answer. And that's the one you know is right. That's the intuition. That's what intuition feels like. And it's a knowing again, it's a heart knowing. But when you've calmed it all down and you go into that higher vibrational state, it's just so much easier to receive the answer. And then just be with that answer and be calm with it and let the other go. Let the worry go, let the fear and the doubt go, and trust that the universe has you. You will not get the wrong answer in that moment. If you're doing these steps, if you're really letting go and listening in and tuning in, there's no way you're going to get the wrong answer through your heart. So once you follow that through, this is just a habit of how to get into that state. So eventually you'll be anywhere and you'll be able to tune in and ask. But
Right.
start the process first. If you have never done this, go to a quiet place. See if you can find somewhere where you won't be disturbed, and just slowly go through and start to see what this physically feels like. A lot of times people will say, well, I can't meditate. I hear the thoughts. This isn't really a meditation. This is more of a tuning in of your focus. Once you get to where you can tune in, eventually meditation is where you sit in that state of bliss. Once
Right.
you get in, if you just start learning how to tune intuition in and really tune into it and know what it feels like, you don't really need that long if you allow yourself to settle. It takes practice. It is practice.
Thank you for that. Thank you for guiding me through that. I mean, I don't know if you can I don't know if you can tell the difference, but even in just how I'm talking, I feel so much more at center and at peace just having done those what, 2 minutes, maybe not even 2 minutes worth of just like tuning into my own heart space.
I mean, to start even your day like that,
Mm,
just to calm the body, tune into the heart space. And then when you go about your day, you have the little bit more open heart and freedom. And it's just easier to kind of let things be and go. Because
yes.
really, what we're trying to do when we talk about manifestation and manifesting, we're actually trying to just get to a state of just peace and contentment. Isn't that what we're going for? Is a feeling, the feeling. It's
Yes.
not the thing we want. It's the feeling we think we're going to have when we have it.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
that's really what we want. And so tuning into that heart space and figuring out, what do I truly want and how will I feel? You're going to be able to tune in and get that feeling. It's going to attract. The universe can't help but send it your way, especially when you tell it in such a clear, heartfelt, right way. It's going to deliver.
I mean, what a beautiful way to experience just self care and self love is to tune into this heart space. And because we have the power of choice, we get to choose where and how we communicate with the world. And so we can choose, I'm going to live from my heart center and not my mind, or I'm going to live, you know, compassionately and caring and with appreciation and gratitude. We get to choose how we interact with things.
It is a choice. We have the power. You have the power. You can always choose something else if what you're choosing doesn't feel good. You have to understand it's you who has the choice. So let's throw those bullets up and go through one little recap of that process of how to tune in. So maybe you want to just write this down. You're going to put this in your journal. First of all, shift your awareness to your heart. I showed you how to do that. Close your eyes, maybe it's a light touch. Slow down your breathing as much as it's comfortable. I talked about breathing in for 5 seconds and holding and letting go slowly, but I don't want you to worry about the seconds. I want you to just get into a flow where take a nice deep breath into your abdomen. Hold it for a second and then let it on out. Let the energy flow out as you're exhaling. Then the third part is you get into those 4 words: appreciation, gratitude, care, compassion. And you just really feel that. And once you're in that state of bliss, then you go into your heart space and you ask yourself, what do I want?
Right.
What's the right decision?
And at
And
that moment, you are vibrating at the frequency of appreciation, gratitude, care, and compassion. So you will only get those things back to you. And this is why this is such a powerful way to interact with your intuition, because you are coming at your intuition with these 4 words and with the love and respect that it deserves as well.
it's a beautiful way to practice for anyone, honestly. um Once I got that, I'm like, it takes a 5 minute. I think I'm going to start my day with that every day. It's just a very quick way to go about tuning in your body and getting yourself to a calmer state.
Yes,
So
and just throughout you can do this anywhere, anytime without bringing any attention to yourself whatsoever,
right,
right? Sitting in your car, sitting at a desk, in the grocery store line, it's just such a beautiful, even aside from um, talking with your intuition, it's such a beautiful way to just regulate your nervous system and to
right,
really come back into being more aligned.
right. So thank you, universe, for that beautiful download. Thank you to all those we referenced. We'll have them. Thank you so much for your information. I truly believe that the universe gives you these moments, these things you see, you hear, because it's all supposed to work together for your good. So I appreciate all the ones that inspire me, all the information, all of the my guides. Thank you so much. All of the universal energies that give us and show us and have allowed my heart to be open and ready for information and ready to just spread it, basically spread love and joy wherever I go, hopefully.
Yes. And I just want to give a shout out to a listener, Chelsea, who really warmed my heart this week with such a beautiful Instagram review and shout out of the podcast. So thank you, Chelsea, for that and for really opening up my heart space even more to alt majority. And for all of you listeners who are here listening, just thank you for touching my heart. Whether you know you are or not, you are. And so just thank you, thank you, thank you for listening. You can find us on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, on YouTube. If you enjoy our podcast, please leave us a review on one of those sources. Leave us a comment if there's anything that you are interested in hearing us listen to.
Hit the like, please subscribe if you haven't. We really appreciate every single moment that you spend with us. And we really look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, and share this video with somebody who you think needs to tap into their own heart space. So we will see you next Monday. Thank you for listening.